got some more baseball. Game 3, this time the Midwest region is our location. Our venue is beautiful Grand Park in Westfield, Indiana. Webb City, Missouri, first appearance in this tournament against Kearney, Nebraska. A thrilling winner the other day by a score of 3-2. This game takes on a lot of importance because the winner gets to move on in the winner's bracket closer to the championship game. And so far, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which will play next, and Kearney, Nebraska are perfect in their only appearances. Greetings, good afternoon. Jim Farmer, John Gregory. He's our baseball analyst and expert. Well, if you have a bye in this tournament, you're looking at two different ways. One, get a chance to do some pregame scouting. On the other end, you've got a little bit more nerves and you're foaming at the bit to play. So you're in Missouri's position right now. How do you think Webb City feels?
Well, Tad Johnson, the head coach, told us they're excited about playing. They want it. They've been watching a lot of baseball. He feels like it's their time. The players want to do it. Get over those nerves. Get that first inning in.
In fact, in the case of Webb City, has not played a game in 2 to 2.5 weeks. So this first inning might be pivotal, John.
It's certainly going to be. We'll see if there's any nerves out there. They've just been practicing, as you mentioned, for the past 2.5 weeks. So they're very anxious, especially after watching the first day of baseball here.
Yeah, and have to face a Nebraska team that won the first game over Iowa 3-2. Took advantage of the first inning of some hits and some errors. Reese Bober reached on a hit, then moved on the bases in second, then on an error scored. Nolan Smith had an RBI hit in the inning, and Easton Etherton came through an RBI hit as well. And so when the inning was over, Nebraska had a 2-1 lead and added the more important run in the fourth inning when Brooks Paul led off with a double and later scored on a bases-loaded walk. So the winner gets a day off and gets closer to the championship game. The loser's got to go to the loser's bracket. Lots at stake next. It is clouded up just a bit. We have not seen any rain since the tournament began at 10 in the morning on Sunday. And that's our summer-looking crowd today. All set for this battle between the states of Missouri and Nebraska, the state champions. Let's take you to Nebraska's starting pitcher today, and that would be Luke Wagner, getting an opportunity to try to put his team 2 up and none down. He's 5'2", 90, and what's the book on him, John?
Well, not a very big guy on the mound, and he's kind of a control guy. He'll throw a couple different types of change-ups up there, but he's a pitch-to-contact type of guy, so he's going to rely on his defense to play behind him.
Let's take a look at Missouri's batting order again. Not having played in a couple of weeks, these guys are ready to hit. Cy Darnell leads off, then Kyler Perry and Max Stoburn. Evan Freeman is the cleanup hitter and will pitch. Dupree Jackson, Walker Sweet, and Kenley Hood go 5, 6, and 7, followed by William Hayes. And the manager's son, Landon Johnson, at third base, batting ninth. Pleasure to welcome you back, or for the first time to ESPN in the coverage of the Little League World Series. Part of coverage of 140 games during the summer. Tad Johnson says Cy Darnell just a terrific leadoff hitter. Solid all-around athlete, favors the Boston Red Sox, who are leading the AL East right now. Bounces toward third. 1 out. Scout Simmons on the throw to Brooks Paul, and that'll bring up Kyler Perry.
As we talked about, pitch to contact, let the defense play behind you. Simmons with a rifle arm over to first base that time to the big first baseman, Brooks Moore.
Kyler Perry, one of the better athletes on this team. Good base stealer. Haven't seen a lot of stolen bases in this tournament, but we have seen some attempted steals of home, delayed double steals.
Most coaches say all-around good athlete, and baseball can play any position type thing. He said he's all-around good athlete in anything that he does.
Yeah. Now these kids will get an opportunity to play football when baseball ends, and possibly onto basketball and other things as well. Perry swings and misses, 2 strikes and nothing from pitcher Luke Wagner. Nebraska's defense, and particularly its pitching, very impressive in the 3-2 win over Iowa just a day ago. High hop to short. And no play. Error on Braden Anderson.
In between hop for Anderson. Sometimes you'll see guys attack that ball. He let it kind of play him in that situation and had the glove turned the opposite way and knocked it down. But that allowed Perry to get down to the first base line and reach first.
Maxed over now. John will hit in the third spot. He is the right fielder. Wagner's pitch, the ball. And on to second base, Kyler Perry. We were taking a look at Missouri in the dugout today. I thought you were pretty impressed by some of the size you bumped into.
Yeah, talking with their coach, he thought that this was a pretty good team that they've had. Good size there, and they have some speed and power. And one of the guys that has that power is the guy at the plate right now, a line drive hitter that can take it out really anywhere in the ballpark.
Maxed over in the right fielder, wears 26, is probably their most prolific home run hitter. RBI situation is he waves the bat high over the head. Got a little bit different stance than most players do. And right now he's got a hitter's count at 3-1. Runners at first and second for Evan Freeman with one out here in the first. Minnesota and Sioux Falls, South Dakota to follow after our game here in the Midwest region. Evan Freeman, left-handed hitter, and he gets the advantage toward first base as if he needs it. He's quick enough. And it looks like just the type of player, John, you cannot double up.
Speed kills. And you think about this Nebraska team struggling a little bit here in the first inning. It was yesterday they had a little struggles at the start of the ball game.
Yeah, we had an opportunity to speak to Sean Etherington about that prior to the game, and he said, well, you know, we were the opening act. And that's a little difficult. We shook that off after the first inning and played good, solid baseball. Two balls, one strike. Kyler Perry, the runner at second, maxed over and at first. Luke Wagner to Nolan Smith. 2-2.
Said Wagner will not overpower you, but you can see him sneak a fastball by some of these guys. When you throw a couple chains up like he does, people start thinking about that. You're able to sneak that fastball by guys. That was a breaking ball that Freeman was out front of.
Dupree Jackson would bat next in the 5 spot. Earlier today, Illinois 5-2 winner over Kentucky in the Great Lakes. And Ohio with a 10-2 victory in its game prior to that. Wild pitch. Runners trying to move. Now one is hung up. Let's see who they choose to go after. Well, they go the conservative route just to make sure that the man at second doesn't get to third, so everything is back to normal.
We've seen that a few times. You know, you get caught up in that situation. As these kids get a little bit older, what they'll learn to do, instead of panic, you want to run at the runners, try to find out who's going to break which direction, and then make the throw. But make them commit.
Good analysis, and in fact, you don't see that a lot at this level, do you?
No, you get a little shaky. You think you don't want to give up an extra base, so you maybe throw out front of a runner and give them time to get back. But can't panic, just run right after them.
Strike 3 called. Evan Freeman called out on strikes, 2 outs. And an important strikeout earlier for Luke Wagner. Not out of the woods yet.
Fastball inside corner. 2 strikes. Anything close like that, you've got to be swinging.
Here's Dupree Jackson. Athletic and strong. And the first pitch over his head for a ball. Well, we've seen a couple of overthrows in our games, and one resulted in cutting down a base runner, trying to stretch from second to third as time is being called. Manager Etherton will get an opportunity to talk to his pitcher, and what might he be divulging here?
I think it's that same conversation. It's the first inning here. Let's get, we've got 2 outs in this situation. Don't try to overthrow any breaking ball or anything. We said, Coach Etherton told us that, he's not going to overpower you so you can get caught up in the emotions. We saw it yesterday, and he's really calmed his team down. Coach Etherton really does a nice job with these kids out here. I like talking with him before the ball game about yesterday, his team's start and that victory. A lot of fans, he said, paying attention online, watching, texting.
Ball and strike. Yeah, it's amazing with social media, the response to Little League Baseball, which is immediate. Caught up with a lot of the fans from Hinsdale, Illinois afterwards, and they're talking about how that town, as small as it might be in size, had standing room only. As the batter is hit and the base is loaded, standing room only at one of its watering holes in Hinsdale for the game. Being able to watch on ESPN.
Yeah.
Here, the bases are loaded.
Always nice to have that support at home that and you can see him here. Tried to duck out of the way. Ball caught him right in the bill of the helmet, looked like.
Walker Sweet's got an RBI situation here with the bases loaded and 2 outs. So much like yesterday, and you alluded to it, John, Nebraska in trouble in the first inning. Trying to deal its way out without a run being scored. Wagner will work from the windup. Strike 1. I like the hats, or the hats, the helmets.
Good mixture.
Yeah.
They all probably their helmets for their local teams.
Almost look like combat helmets. Ball and a strike with the bases loaded and 2 outs.
Everybody a little different.
Yes.
That's a good look at it right there.
Kenley Hood would bat next. Wagner's 1-1 pitch. Popped up on the infield. Inning over. Missouri strands 3, and after a half inning, it's Missouri nothing, and Nebraska coming to bat. The Little League Grow the Game Grant Initiative has distributed over $2 million at the local level. Grant funding provides local Little Leagues resources for general improvement and to expand or establish softball challenger division and urban initiative programs. For more information, visit littleleague.org/grow the game. John Gregory and Jim Barber. Nebraska escapes the first without any damage. Now set to go to work for Missouri is Evan Freeman, who's a right-handed thrower who can get that fastball up to the low to mid 70s, and that's a difficult pitch for hitters at this level to catch up with, John.
No question about that. He'll probably throw as hard as anybody we've seen. We've seen guys out there throwing at 71, which is equivalent to about 92 miles an hour at the big league. He may touch 73, as coach said. So big, strong kid out there. Good looking kid on the mound.
He'll face Reese Bober, who got things started yesterday for Nebraska. Then Brayton Anderson, Nolan Smith, and Paul Brooks. Easton Etherton will bat 5th. Scott Simmons 6th, and after Scott will be Bo Knapp, Ty Redinger, and Luke Wagner. Bober yesterday 1 for 3 with an infield hit and a run scored. Off-speed pitch to start off the leadoff hitter for Nebraska with a ball.
Well, we talk about a 74-mile-an-hour fastball, and we get a breaking ball to start.
Yeah. Big kid up there, though. I imagine that fastball at 74 looks a little frightening. Taking plenty of his time. Towards shortstop. And on first base with a leadoff hit, likely as Bober could score at an error. But either way, Bober starts this game off by reaching base.
Got to field it clean if you expect you're to get Bober out. He's a guy that can move down that first base line. He does. Now a dangerous runner already for this Nebraska team, having him at first.
It's ruled a base hit. Second hit for Bober in the tournament, and now he's on the second base. How quickly this thing can happen, you know. So man at second, nobody out. We've seen a barrage of wild pitches and passed balls in just what, a day and a half since we've been here. Braden Anderson, it favors the great Mike Trout. Trying to put his team ahead 1-0 in the first. To be followed by the catcher Nolan Smith. First baseman Brooks Paul.
70-mile-an-hour fastball that time. 91 equivalent major leagues.
Bounces that one in, and a nice save behind home plate by Walker Sweet. And what's the biggest problem for a team that hasn't played? Just overthrowing to start the game?
It's the same thing with what we saw with Nebraska yesterday, I think. It's always first game jitters.
This should move the runner to third base. Just like a sacrifice for Braden Anderson. Race Bober to third with one out. Let's talk speed equivalent. A lot of these teams do not have radar guns on their players. But those that do may understand that whatever you're throwing in the 70s can be transferred to a major league speed of upwards to the high 90s. Good fastball there to start off Nolan Smith. 0-1. Missouri threatening in the top of the first, loaded the bases but failed to score with 2 outs. And that wild pitch bounces all the way back.
Got to be heads up as the base runner at third base. After you play a few games, you recognize that that ball could come off of that backstop in a hurry, just like it did.
Infielder even at the bag at third. Shortstop is pretty close to even with that bag. Playing back at second base and back at first base. So if you hit it to the right side of the diamond, it's likely you'll get the first run. But right now trying to catch up with a 70-mile-an-hour fastball is the challenge for Nolan Smith.
Smith taking a nice hack at that one, but up in the strike zone. That high fastball looks so good but hard to catch up with.
And a 2-2 pitch, able to stay alive. Again, a 2-2. Missouri in the powder blue uniforms. Facing Kearney with the dark blue. And now 3-2 pitch, and an important one early to Nolan Smith. Nearly caught a right field cameraman.
He was leaning.
Strike 3 call. Got him on the corner. First strikeout for Evan Freeman. So Nebraska now must get a 2-out hit or wild pitch or error to plate the first run, and I'll leave it in the hands of first baseman Brooks Paul.
Jim, you mentioned that I was talking about the size of this Webb City baseball team. Nebraska has got some guys at the plate right now and in that dugout that have some pretty good size.
Yes. I think Brooks Paul would qualify for that, wouldn't he?
Yeah, but guess what they call him? The big softy.
The big softy.
Yeah. That doesn't mean he's soft.
Oh, no.
That means just a nice guy.
Big power hit on this team, too, yeah.
It's all right to be that big guy. Have a big heart.
Yeah. So far, Evan Freeman's getting a nice carom off that backstop, as the runner at third has been unable to score on 2 occasions. A strike away from getting out of this rally. High fastball, 2 strikeouts in the inning for Evan Freeman. Nebraska threatens like Missouri, but fails to score. Missouri nothing, Nebraska nothing. To the second we go. This is the 3rd consecutive year that Webb City has appeared in the Midwest Regional. Won it in 2015, moved on to Williamsport, PA. And that's the goal of everyone in this region, as well as the Great Lakes region. We're into day 2 of activity. We're in the winners bracket today. Tomorrow we'll have 4 elimination games, and then Wednesday back to the winners section. Pulling on a bounce toward third base to start the second one out. Scout Simmons with the play. William Hayes, the 8th hitter in the Missouri lineup, to the plate.
Pretty impressed with Simmons' arms. His arm down at third base. Comes up with it cleanly here, and you can see him fire it over to the big target at first base.
Big third baseman, big first baseman.
I like it. Block the corners. Nothing gets by you down there. You don't get anything by you. Don't get up any doubles. And he has big arms, too. Not just 1, 2.
Landon Johnson, a third baseman, and a 9th hitter would follow William Hayes. And Hayes on base. Missouri now has 4 base runners in this game, 2 by way of hit pitch. Brings up Landon Johnson. And Johnson stepping to the plate is the son of manager Tad Johnson, and has been coached by Dad since what, age 5? Tad was telling us today.
Yeah.
Said he really enjoys coaching his son. Tough play, handled by Wagner. Sure out his first base. Runner in a scoring position with 2 outs for Cy Darnell. Say a tough play only because that ball sometimes can spin on the grass. We saw that in the earlier game today between Kentucky and Illinois, and makes it a more difficult play for a baseman or a fielder to handle.
Yeah, no question. Second base, you see it all the time. Somehow smother it to be able to knock it down and get the guy out.
Cy Darnell, base hit. Let's see if they try to send the man around. They will, but they're going to bring him back, and that's a smart move, because William Hayes would have been dead to right. As it is, base hit for Darnell. Inning continues for Kyler Perry. Hit it good, but because this one was flying out there to the left fielder, no chance to plate the run.
Yeah, hanging breaking ball. 1 hopper out to Etherton out in right field as he fires it in, throws a strike to the plate.
Here's a chance for Kyler Perry. So Missouri put 3 on in the first, failed to score. And Perry, a fan of Russell Westbrook, gets a chance here in the second with 2 on. Batting in the number 2 hole. Another good scoring chance for Missouri. And undaunted, down to second base goes Cy Darnell with a stolen base. So now a base hit could mean 2. Wagner using his off-speed stuff moments ago to even the count at 1-1. Takes a deep breath and hides the pitch and delivers. What a contrast in starting pitchers today.
You've got one guy throwing in the low 70s. You have another one probably in the low 60s.
I think it's fair to say. Wagner, a long look and the pitch.
But for Wagner, it's not about the fastball. For him, it's pitching to contact, letting that defense play behind you. Hopefully they're going to hit balls right at guys. Not give up guys. Don't give up the free passes. And no big innings.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Luke Wagner got Walker sweet to pop out with the bases loaded in the first inning. Trying to wiggle out of this jam here in the second. Against the man who wears 00. Kyler Perry. Three-two pitch. So we got a little drama here early in the game. Kyler Perry reached on an infield single in the first, but was stranded. And Missouri in the first 2 innings has stranded 5. Big strikeout by Luke Wagner. His second of the game. After 1 1/2 innings, Missouri nothing, Nebraska nothing. Indianapolis and the surrounding suburbs are like a permanent home for Kearney Little League. 7th Midwest regional appearance in the last 8 years, 2 in a row now. Previous ones on the northeast side of Indianapolis, this one to the north of the city. First time that Grand Park has been a host and temporary host, but in the process of bidding for future years as well. Going to be a tough place to beat, I think. Easton Etherington to lead off. To be followed by Scout Simmons and Ben Knapp. Middle of the Nebraska lineup in a scoreless game in the bottom of the second. And right now, Evan Freeman is dealing. Low to mid-70s on the fastball is his potential. Recorded 2 strikeouts in the first inning and got out of a jam with a runner stranded at third.
Etherton choking up already. Before he had 2 strikes, he was choking up here, maybe just trying to catch up with the fastball from Freeman. Kind of starts down at the bottom of the bat, and by the time the pitch comes in, he's worked his way up on that bat handle.
3 balls and 2 strikes. Waves the bat over home plate and can't catch up with the fastball. 1 out. 70 miles an hour. And that's consecutive strikeouts. 3 straight now for Evan Freeman.
Really, as a hitter, nothing you can do it. If he's keeping the ball down and throwing that hard, the only thing you can really do is beat it into the ground. Very difficult to lift that pitch out of here unless you've got the strength to be able to get out front of it.
Scout Simmons is the batter. Batting in the 6th position as he did the other day. 12 years of age, 5'7" and 120 pounds. Down a strike. Now 2 strikes. Well, Nebraska winds up facing the #1 pitcher for Iowa and now for Missouri because of the bye. It's a challenge even when you win the first game. 4 consecutive strikeouts for Evan Freeman.
Well, Tad Johnson told us he thought he had a guy out on the mound that could set some people down, would be pretty impressive, and so far Freeman's lived up to all that. Good-looking kid. We saw him in the dugout prior to this ball game, and he looks the part.
Ben Knapp at the plate. Yesterday had a base hit in the second inning in his only plate appearance. Freeman throwing a nasty fastball up there. Wasting a pitch on 2 strikes. Now you think about it this pace, the runs will be at a premium. Freeman with lots of velocity. He's got a good curve. Pitched his team to a state finals championship win, and he strikes out the side in a second. In fact, he has struck out the last 5 that he has faced. Right now, it's the Evan Freeman show. After 2 innings, the game is scoreless. Missouri nothing, Nebraska nothing. Good to have you with us today. Jim Barber, John Gregory, game 3 of 4, as was the case Sunday, as will be the case tomorrow. Middle League World Series opening round, the regional from Westfield, Indiana. Max Stovern, who walked in the first, was stranded with a couple other teammates. When Missouri left the bases loaded, will lead off the top of the 3rd. Luke Wagner taking a little bit of time between pitches. Able to deliver a strike, 1-1. Infield of Simmons, Anderson, Runninger, and Paul. Atherton, Bober, and Knapp, left center to right. Lucas pitching and Nolan Smith catching. Has a 2-ball, 1 count strike on Max Stovern. And it's 3-1. The way Evan Freeman is throwing today, margin for error for Wagner, I would imagine, is small. And he walks the leadoff hitter. So Stovern has now walked twice in the game, and here comes Freeman.
I'm watching and listening to the dugout for Nebraska. Wagner's on the mound pitching. You got Smith behind home plate. He keeps looking into the third base dugout there, and he's got a coach down there not just signaling you, now he's barking out numbers. It's like a play call almost. He's yelling out 1-3-1, and the catcher's looking down at his wristband to call the pitches that he wants out on the mound. You can actually hear him shouting out the numbers.
So when you played, did you enjoy having a manager call the game for you?
Maybe when you were younger, but not as you get a little bit older. I was one of the guys that I wanted to throw the pitch that I felt comfortable with at that time. But at this age here, you may try to think a little bit too much, so coaches can take that away from them. And I agree, I think that's smart at this level. But as you get a little bit older, you'll find guys, you know, you're going to throw the best pitch when you're comfortable.
Evan Freeman away with a miss. Count goes to 2-1.
He may even be given some location, it seems like there. So he yells out 1-3-1. He looks down at the wristband, and everything's a little bit different. A lot more technical than it used to be.
Sure. Count now reaches 3-1.
Give me the 1 for the fast ball. Give me the 2 for the breaking ball, right?
Well, that's ancient history, isn't it?
What happened to those days?
Wagner having some difficulty with control. He has walked the first 2 hitters in this inning. Prior to this, he had hit 2 batters, thrown a wild pitch, and delivered a walk.
And now we're going to get another visit to the mound. A little discussion here again. A guy that pitches to contact can't afford to walk guys or hit guys, because guys are eventually going to make contact with it. And if you have people in scoring position, bad things can happen.
Well, on the other side, we mentioned this already. I mean, Evan Freeman just looks unhittable today, even though we've only played a couple of innings. So the other problem is if you find yourself down by a run or 2, how's your offense going to get back in the game?
Yeah. You saw the pitch numbers there, balls to strike ratio. It was about 50-50 almost. So you know you're not having a whole lot of success. They haven't given up any runs yet, but
nope. Certainly
there's base runners on there. You want that ratio to sway to the strike side versus the balls.
Back through the first 2 innings, Missouri left on 5. Dupree Jackson was hit by a pitch the last time up with runners at first and second. Nobody out, and Wagner still struggling with the strike zone. Toward third base. The proper force out at third, 1 out. The right play by Scout Simmons on the fielder's choice. Evan Freeman the second, Dupree Jackson the first.
Good heads up play by Simmons. We've seen him make some good plays down there at that third base bag. Heads up, get that lead runner.
Wagner not out of trouble yet. Just 1 out in the inning for Walker Sweet, who popped out the last time up. Gonna bunt. And I tell you what, the way they were playing him, that would have been a bunt for a hit.
Yeah. Good decision there. Make something happen. I like it. We don't see a lot of teams laying bunts down, trying to do some things like that, but good thought there because Simmons, the third baseman, back behind the bag.
Let's see if that's going to move him up just a tad. Now 2 strikes. Another big moment in the game for pitcher Luke Wagner. Freeman at second, Jackson the runner at first. Kenley Hood would follow. 2-strike pitch, back to the pitcher. The sure out is first base, 2 outs. Runners advance to second and third.
Another one of those balls, Jim. Pull cue off the end.
Think it would have been
chalking up a little
chance?
bit. It may have been, but again, another very difficult play. The way that ball spins off the bat, you can see it spin right out of the pitcher's glove there. He knocks it down, and that's the only thing you can do a lot of times is just try to keep it in front of you. A nice job, remained calm, picked it up, and made the good throw over to first base for the out.
Now Kenley Hood, John's got an RBI chance, 2 aboard. Swinging strike 1. Hood, very fundamental oriented player. Batting in the 7th position. William Hayes would follow next. Another scoring opportunity for Missouri. So this time can Webb City capitalize? We've already left on 5. And he's getting him to chase it out in the zone, so I wonder if he doesn't throw him another one.
Right now, I almost feel like Webb City feels like they need to steal a run here as Freeman down at third base is playing with Nolan Smith, the catcher, trying to get him to throw it down to third base.
See what Wagner does if he wastes a pitch or goes after the batter on 0-2. 3 pitches, big strikeout. And Missouri now through 3, John, has left 7, and many of them in scoring position. Missouri nothing, Nebraska nothing. For Nebraska in the third, it's Ty Renninger, Luke Wegner, and Reese Bober. 8, 9, and 1 in a scoreless game between Missouri and Nebraska. It's Missouri's first game in the tournament. Nebraska in the Midwest comes in 1-0, and the winner moves to Wednesday's competition and a step closer to the championship game. 5 straight strikeouts for Evan Freeman. This is pitch 35. So to make contact on a guy who's throwing the heater up there, I mean, are you going to choke up a little bit on the bat, or can you make that to your advantage?
Yeah, you can try. I mean, it's really going to be all timing. I mean, you have to anticipate that fastball. You have to be sitting on it just dead red, thinking that's what you're going to get. You can look at the outfield of Webb City. They know how hard he throws. They're all playing toward right field.
And shallow.
Big shift out there in center field and left field.
Anticipating the batter to swing late. But in this case, on 5 pitches, Renninger draws the first walk-off for Freeman. So let's see if that brings Wegner into a sacrifice situation. The game that really has a feel of being a one-run game.
Yeah, if you can somehow manufacture a run against this guy out on the mound, maybe put some pressure on them to have to score.
And Missouri hasn't won for base runners, leaving on 7 so far. And as we mentioned going to break, many of them in scoring position. Freeman suddenly having trouble finding a strike zone after being so good in the first 2 innings. He has missed on 6 of 7 pitches to start this inning. And this is with the 8th and 9th hitters on the lineup.
As successful as he's been striking guys out, his strikeout or strikes to ball ratio too, right around 50%.
Well, this is what he's done so far. In fact, he got a strikeout with 1 out in the first and didn't stop with it. He had 5 consecutive punch outs. And that fastball at this point, Kearney, Nebraska wasn't catching up with it all. But the game can change from inning to inning. Let's see if the conversation by catcher helps. And immediately delivers a strike. So Walker Sweet's idea to calm him down a bit. Delivers the first strike. Bunt back to the pitcher. He's going to throw to second for the out. Hit a little bit too hard by Wegner, so Wegner now becomes the runner on the failed sacrifice with 1 out.
As you suggested, Wegner lays it down, but right back to Freeman. Freeman looked like he was in a hurry to throw it to second base, then realized he had plenty of time and kind of changed the mode a little bit, slowed it down, and made sure he got that first out.
Right now, Evan Freeman, the middle part of this game, is halfway to his pitch allotment, 42 of 85. Reese Bober is one of the few players in the Nebraska lineup, as they went through it once, to make contact. Got an infield single to start the Nebraska first, and now he's got 2 hits. He is a tough leadoff hitter, John.
No question about it. I say you can, anytime you can turn around a fastball that's equivalent to a 92-mile-an-hour major league fastball, you're confident up there at the plate.
Reese Bober now 3 for 5 in the Midwest region.
Bam, look at that head down, good quick hands.
Here's Braden Anderson, and Nebraska has its first scoring threat since the first inning. Anderson grounded out to second base in the first. Ball and a strike. Just another beautiful day in Indiana. Weather starting to heat up a little bit. Nothing drastic, though, compared to 2-3 weeks ago when we were in the 90s. Good pitch there on a change. A ball and 2 strikes.
What the players might not like, but this wind now blowing in from right field feels pretty good up here in the press box, but players like to see it going out right now. A little bit different wind than we had yesterday.
And Shane Anderson to the right in the outfield. On 1-2. Good stop at second base, going for the force and getting it. So runners now at first and third. The ball was hit well to the opposite side and fielded by Cy Darnell, who gets the force out. So now they're at first and third with 2 outs in the third.
How about that play by Darnell? Looked like the ball was beyond him when he was able to reach back and get it like Dustin Pedroia. Makes the throw over to his friend at shortstop, Perry, and get the force out. Perry did a nice job of playing a first baseman that time and reaching out, getting the force out.
We'll put an asterisk by that one because that's, or put a star by that one because that's one certainly observing. And I think we're going to have a challenge here, and the challenge probably will be at second base. And hopefully we'll get a chance to show you what we anticipate is being challenged. The official call at second base was out. Home plate umpire is Nick Boylan. He did not make the call at second, but be checking in with Little League officials here. Not sure you can tell. What'd you think, John?
I thought originally watching it from up here, I thought the umpire got it right again. But very difficult to see bang, bang. I mean, you said yesterday, you know, they've only overturned one of these. These umpires have done a great job. And here we go to find out.
That one is not overturned either. Good challenge by Nebraska, unsuccessful. Runners at first and third for Nolan Smith with 2 outs. Smith 1 for 4 in the tournament. Got an RBI in the first inning against Iowa yesterday and a base hit in the 5th. And typically the visits to the mound are handled by Bruce Darnell. Kind of serves as the pitching coach and also the bench coach. Manager Tad Johnson. Mike Miller, the first base coach when the team is on offense. So here's our situation. Luke Wegner's at third base. Braden Anderson's at first. There are 2 outs for Nolan Smith, who struck out back in the first. Evan Freeman to the plate, strike 1.
Now with getting that runner at third base, how important it is for that catcher back there, Sweet, to be able to block something. Don't let it by. And this hard-throwing guy on the mound, easily the ball can get by you and a run can score. So you don't want to give up a free one here. Be very careful with that breaking ball.
Well, as a batter, you're trying to time a very good fastball, and that means when he throws his change, you're really not in position to hit it. Let's see what he throws on 2 strikes. Runner will advance from first to second. So Anderson now at second base with 2 outs. Runners at second and third, and this is Nebraska's best scoring threat of the game. Smith trying to make contact on 1 and 2 with 2 outs. Here's the pitch. What a beautiful change. And did not get the call. Well, both pitcher and catcher thought inning over.
I like what Walker Sweet just did. He turned around to the umpire and patted his chest and said, "My bad."
Yeah. Freeman to try again. Toward center field, base hit's going to score 1 and score 2. Webb said he didn't get the call third, and Nolan Smith comes through to make it 2-0.
Pretty clutch hit right here. Not a big stride. You don't take it against the guy that throws that hard, and he just uses his hands to deliver this out to right center field, and Nolan Smith picks up 2 huge RBI against Evan Freeman, a guy that's thrown extremely hard. And boy, think about that pitch before it, where they thought they were out of the inning.
You know, I've seen players protest the call. I'm not sure I've ever seen a catcher roll a ball back to the mound and both pitcher come off saying, hey, that's strike 3, we're out of here.
I like, though, I go back to what Walker Sweet did. He had respect for that umpire, and he turned around and looked at him and patted his chest and said, I'm sorry, my bad for rolling that ball out there, not trying to show up an umpire.
Yeah, good gesture. Freeman gets the strikeout of Brooks Paul, but not before Nebraska scores twice. Big 2-out hit by Nolan Smith, and after 3, it's the Nebraska State champions leading the Missouri State champions 2-0. For Webb City, number 6, Tyler Marbutt will lead off. Webb City's had chances, couple of hits, number of walks, but in scoring position just 1 of 7, and therefore has left 7 on base. Let's see if it gets more scoring opportunities against Luke Wegner in the 4th. Now down 2-0. And that call, or lack of, on what appeared to be a called 3rd strike. Looming large. That was part of lots of people's conversation during the break. Nebraska took full advantage. Nolan Smith came in and threw with a 2-out hit after that, and that's where we stand 2-0. You know, Wagner's had these guys reaching out of the zone, so I don't know if that pitch is just breaking away from him or.
Yeah, watch Marvitt's feet as he's up there. He's got some happy feet right now, and they're throwing that breaking ball outside. Let's see if they stay with it again. Watch that front foot.
3 pitches, 1 out. You know, Wagner does not overpower you. You brought this point up earlier, but boy, he can confuse you.
You don't have to throw 92 to get people out. You just have to throw strikes. And
Liam Taylor will get a chance to pinch hit.
Saying you don't have to throw 92 to get people out, but location's important. And if you're not going to overpower people, you know you're going to give up some contact, so you don't want those brace runners, so don't give up the free passes.
Taylor's got that big stick opportunity up there. Good solid 3rd baseman coming off the bench. Pitch 57 for Wagner. Wagner taking a lot of time between pitches. Couple of hops to second base, 2 outs. Ty Redinger fielding the ball cleanly. And back to the top of the order, and Cy Darnell is the scheduled batter. Darnell today has grounded to 3rd and singled to left and stole a base. 2-0 Nebraska. First game of the tournament for Missouri. 2nd game for unbeaten Nebraska. And the winner of this game gets to move on to Thursday competition. In fact, it'll be the winner of this game following versus the winner of the game follows. That's Minnesota and Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And they would meet at 11 o'clock on Thursday morning. I'm going to check that. Actually, they'll meet on Wednesday at 11 o'clock. So the winner of this game and the winner of the game to follow will see each other on Wednesday. Count is 2 balls and a strike with 2 outs. And this one headed to center field, a base hit. Darnell now 2 for 3 in the game.
Here's a look. Right back up the box there. Not able to get a glove on it. Wegner wasn't. Again, another runner on for Webb City. You mentioned it, 7 runners left on in this ball game so far. That's kind of the story for them. See if they can kind of create a 2-out rally here.
Now, Nebraska, John, has not had a clean inning defensively so far in terms of not allowing anybody to reach base. Let's see if Missouri can have some 2-out hitting magic like Nebraska did the previous inning. Pitch 64 from Wegner. Missouri left the bases loaded in the first. Left runners at second and third in the second. Left runners at second and third in the third. This should end the inning. Good play by the first baseman, Brooks Paul. Inning over. A hit and 1 stranded. Nebraska sends up Etherington, Simmons, and Knapp in the bottom of the 4th, ahead 2-0 over Missouri. Now that's the way to enjoy a game. With the fat head, in the heat, taking it easy, enjoying Little League baseball.
Fat head, fat fan.
And well, they're starting to crank up just a little bit.
Look at that. I like it. And think about using it that way, using it as a fan.
Yeah. Big fan at that, huh? Easton Etherington, who struck out in the second, will lead off the 4th. Evan Freeman, who probably deserved better in that 3rd inning, failing to get a called 3rd strike, has struck out 6 in the game. Approaching 60 pitches. The way that ball snaps behind home plate, and you can probably hear it at home. A pretty good idea how good Freeman is.
And he's lost no pop on that fastball. 59 pitches into it. That was his 60th pitch, and that fastball still riding it there at 70.
They haven't been here long, just a couple of days, and this will be a drop 3rd strike for an out. My opinion only, I think Evan Freeman's the best we've seen on the mound.
He certainly throws harder than anybody. Very well could be. Just an overpowering guy.
Now has 8 strikeouts in the game.
15 for 12.
Check that 7.
15 for 12.
Jared Moore is going to get a chance to pinch hit for Scout Simmons. I would think Freeman's got to be a catcher's and an umpire's delight.
You ever play catcher trying to catch a 95-mile-an-hour fastball?
You know, it wasn't 95, but I caught a fast pitcher in Little League, and it's a challenge.
Oh, I'm fortunate. I was left-handed. I never had to go behind the plate there. I always admired the guys that do, though.
Played some catcher in Little League. It's a tough spot.
Yeah.
Nebraska 2 and Missouri nothing. Minnesota and Sioux Falls, South Dakota following us in a little less than 2 hours. Another strikeout for Evan Freeman. That now is 8 out of a potential 11 outs.
Look at that ball just sink. I mean, that's a nasty pitch. That's a lot like you see in the major leagues right there, just riding in toward the back foot. Good movement. That's just not a 70-mile-an-hour fastball. That's a 70-mile-an-hour fastball with movement.
Perry Swarm pitch hitting. Well, you'd love to make a note of guys like Freeman as you take a look at the pitching eligibility and catch up with him in a few years. Because I go back to the point you made earlier about the movement of the fastball. It's one thing to throw hard. It's another thing to have the ball moving up there. Hard enough to catch up with the speed sometimes. Now you add some movement to that speed and it becomes almost impossible.
You think Bryce Darnell, the pitching coach here for this Webb City Little League, is looking at him? He's the coach at Southern Missouri State.
Sure.
Sitting in that dugout. He's the guy walking out there getting to see him.
He's probably not the only one.
He's probably already recruiting him.
1-1 pitch with 2 outs. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, bottom of the 4th. Looking ahead to the Missouri 5th, Max Stovern, Evan Freeman, Dupree Jackson. And the count has gone full. Freeman strikes out the side as he did in the 2nd. Now he's got 9 punch outs, and yet Missouri still trails Nebraska 2-0. Time for our game recap. Evan Freeman has been outstanding today for Webb City. He has struck out 9. And it might have been a 10th strikeout if you're doing the addition. That would have put him in better shape. Watch his 3-2 changeup. Didn't get the strikeout. Still has to face Nolan Smith, and Smith made him pay for it with a 2-run hit. That's our game right now as we stretch to the 5th inning. Here's Max Stovern, who has walked twice. Webb said he needs a base runner to get that potential tying run to the plate. It's Simmons, Anderson, Renninger, and Paul infield, 3rd to 1st. Etherington, Bober, Knapp, left center and right. Wagner playing pitch and catch with Nolan Smith. Stovern has a very good eye at the plate. He's already walked twice. And ahead on the count, 2 balls, no strikes. A little activity right now going in the Nebraska bullpen. As pitch 69 coming up, Drew Iverson will start warming up.
They're going to send another player down there to protect, wear the helmet, and even though they're caged in down there, they still want somebody in there to let them know if a foul ball's coming that direction.
Good catch by the umpire at 3rd base, Prince Lowe. These are all volunteer umpires. A lot of them have traveled many miles to be part of the Little League World Series regional round.
And what a great job they've done. I mean, you think about it with replay. They've been on every call.
Just one overturned, and that was to end the Nebraska-Iowa game. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
We've talked a lot about Evan Freeman, of course, in his strikeout, but I got to tell you, Wagner's performance out there has been pretty gutty too. Maybe they don't have the strikeouts, but he's doing what he can.
Wagner got a huge strikeout, John, you remember, in the 3rd with runners at 2nd and 3rd. And he got a strikeout to end the 2nd with runners at 2nd and 3rd as well. That's his pitching line on the game. Has run the count full here as he tops 70 pitches. Ball 4. Tying run coming into plate. Max Stover now has the hat trick. He's walked 3 times. So a chance for Missouri here in the 5th. And Evan Freeman favors the great Nolan Ryan. Oh, he looks like Nolan Ryan here in the Little League competition. Gosh, remember how wild Ryan was for a while before he got his control going? Then after that, you didn't glare at him or stare him down.
Pitching with an attitude, right?
Yep. Heading the other way and out of play. Different game now in the majors. I mean, back then, head hunting and brushbacks was part of everything. Now, players take that very personally.
Yeah.
Ball and a strike. Missouri with a chance here. Now to count 2-1. Wegner about to hit 75 pitches. See anything different in his delivery here in the 5th?
Not really. I mean, he's still plugging away.
Toward right field. Base hit. Both runners on the move. Freeman wisely goes back to first, and Missouri has a big-time threat down to 5th. With runners at first and third and nobody out.
Power pitcher on the mound, also quick hands at the plate. Let's see, not a big stride, just used his hands out there and wrist to flick it out there in the right field and pick up a base hit.
If you're Nebraska, how do you play the infield? You concede the run for the double play?
I think you do. Try to stay out of the big inning and see if you can't turn this thing over.
On the change, Jackson out, runner delayed steal. Now it's second and third. So now you don't have the double play potential. As Freeman calls time, he's at second. He represents the tying run.
And let's see what they're going to choose to do with the defense now. Looks like they're going to play halfway.
Well, you can't concede 2 outs because it would tie the game. If there were back-to-back infield grounders. Dupree Jackson awaits the strike pitch. Well, Wegner certainly has a flair for the dramatic because every inning -1, Missouri has been threatening against him. Will they finally break through? Ball and 2 strikes. Pitch 79 coming up. There'll be a pitching change shortly. Towards short, base hit left field, and all the way to the wall. It'll tie the game. Dupree around second's going to try for a triple. Here comes the throw. He is safe. The game is tied, and he's in with a triple. So finally, Missouri able to take advantage, and he hit this. He smoked it.
You're right. They said he's a heck of an athlete. You can see him here as he's running around the bases. That ball hit extremely hard. That was a ball that hopped right by Anderson at the shortstop position and made its way all the way out to the outfield. That's showing you how hard that ball was hit. But 2 important runs, 2 huge runs that Webb City has just not been able to score all day. Finally, they get him in here in the 5th.
So now the go-ahead run is at third, and I would think if you're the Nebraska defense, you got to bring everybody in. We'll see how they defend it. And that might be the end of the day for Luke Wegner. Well, Sean Etherington has to be disappointed. His team ahead 2-0 before Wegner gives up a triple. And yet, did a great job of working in and out of jams through most of the day. It is 2-2 Missouri, Nebraska in the 5th. Welcome back. Drew Iverson's in a spot. He comes in with the go-ahead run here in the 5th inning at third base and nobody out. He's a left-handed thrower. Favors the North Carolina Tar Heels, who won a national championship in college basketball over Gonzaga. And he's got to find a way to skate through Eli Miller, Kenley Hood, and William Hayes, and whoever else Missouri throws up in the 5th. Ball one. Dupree Jackson, the go-ahead run after a 2-run triple at third. 1-1. Iverson a look, works from the windup. 2 balls and a strike. Eli Miller trying to put his team ahead. 2-2.
Miller way out in front of that breaking ball. Iverson, another guy that's not going to overpower. You have to sit back and wait for your pitch.
Iverson's 2-2. Two balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. Go ahead run at third in a Missouri 2-run 5th. Miller awaits the pitch from Iverson. Can't get the corner. Count goes full. Three-two pitch. Lost him. Good at bat for Eli Miller. Now runners at first and third with nobody out.
You're right. What a battle that was. And Miller ends up down at the first base bag and became very patient after swinging at a couple way out front, some breaking balls he was ahead of.
This is Trey Rhodes coming to the plate as a pinch hitter.
Sir, I got 4 for 3. 4 for 3. Thank you.
Minnesota and Sioux Falls, South Dakota will come up next in roughly 90 minutes. Missouri has rallied with 2 in the 5th after Nebraska jumped out 2-0 in the 3rd. Iverson to the plate. Strike 1. Runner down to second. And so a stolen base for Miller. Second and third, nobody out. Good block on home plate by the catcher, Nolan Smith. 2 strikes, and Iverson's got to get some strikeouts here.
He does, and they allowed that runner to go through again for the second time on kind of that delayed steal. Puts another guy in scoring position. That's almost like that insurance run sitting out there now at second base for Missouri if they can find a way to get him in.
Another good change. Batter out. 1 out in the inning. Iverson not out of trouble yet, but takes a step closer. William Hayes to the plate. Good contact hitter.
Well, you'd like to get some type of contact here as they're giving Nolan Smith a little chance to take a breather back there. That time he blocked that ball. Looked like it kind of caught him on the leg a little bit, giving him some time to take a break. I think this is a smart move. You want him to be 100% in this situation. You got to have him being ready to block another ball in the dirt if possible.
And we've seen so many of them so far. Hayes was hit by a pitch and is only at bat back in the second. 2 runners aboard at second and third. And Missouri trying to break the tie. Drew Iverson, the left-hander. Strike called.
In at third base on the corner.
Another good change by Iverson, 0-2.
Well, that's the pitch right there. You've got had the third baseman Simmons in front of the bag. You get that breaking ball on it. That's the one you want to try to turn on and drive it by the third baseman. Now he backs up behind the bag.
Let's see what Iverson delivers on 0-2. And time called. Deep breath by Drew, and now he'll look into his catcher, Nolan Smith, and see if he can get another strikeout when he needs it the most. So you're Drew Iverson. What do you dial up on 1 and 2?
Yeah, you have to go after him again. I hate to see you try to throw the ball in the dirt here and let it get by in this situation, so I'm thinking fastball away.
There's the fastball away. The count is even 2-2.
Now
Iverson's had a lot of success with the change, though.
You're taking that chance, though, if you bounce it in the dirt.
Iverson to Hayes. Missed the corner, 3-2. So from 0-2 to 3-2. Dramatic moment in our game and a 2-2 tie. Here comes the 3-2 pitch. And the bases are loaded. Liam Taylor, who entered the game in the 4th, get a chance to hit here in the 5th in a big spot with the bases loaded. Taylor's got the big stick and the big body. Infield in at every position, trying to cut down the lead runner. Iverson, first pitch. Right in front of home plate. They got to go home with it. Can they get there? Save. Ball past the catcher. Here comes another runner. And in fact, he'll go back. And it is 3-2 Missouri. Had a chance to get the force out, and it didn't come through.
You can see a smile on Liam's face down at the first base bag. He made enough contact to get it out in the grass. Communications, Iverson was quick to get to the ball. Smith came out from behind the plate, and by the time he got back there, the speed of Dupree Jackson, he was already home.
So Jackson, the 2-run triple, and now scoring the lead run here in the top of the 5th. Then a big inning for Missouri. Back to live action. Cy Darnell now to play with the bases loaded. The infield continues to play in.
In on the corners, as you mentioned, Jim. Anything hit the first or third, they're going to come home, try to cut the run, and if it sits somewhere up the middle, they're going to try to turn over the double play the traditional way.
Back to the pitcher. They got to come home with this one. No problem there. Should be an out. No, wait a minute. Yes. I think it's the proper call. Held on to it long enough. Nolan Smith was actually looking to throw it down to first base. I don't believe they'll challenge this one, but we'll see.
Well, they may challenge it just because they have possibly the ability to do it, but to me, I'm the same way. I think it's transition. He's out there. He's going to transition it to the hand. And this is another play I think the umpires have gotten right, and I doubt they're going to overturn this one.
But it will be challenged, and why not? Because that would be the fourth run of the game.
Yeah, it's an important situation, so I don't blame them for doing it. I mean, the rules allow you to, so try to take advantage of it. You never know. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows?
That never happens.
But I told you, pretty quick decision, and it is.
So call confirmed. See, John, you're never wrong.
Yeah.
Now Kyler Perry, ninth man to bat this inning. This fifth inning is taking forever, which Missouri is very happy about. Webb City has played at 3 and trying to bust it open here. That has been Drew Iverson's best pitch.
Webb City with the lead right now, 3-2. You think about it, if they find a way to win this game, they're going to look back and say, wow, what could have been. We've left 8 runners on possibly, and if we don't leave another one on here, how about this?
Yeah. Ball gets away from the catcher. Here comes the runner for third and will score easily. William Hayes sliding in. It is now 4-2 Webb City. And everybody else moves up.
There's that breaking ball I was talking about. Anything down in the dirt, it's just so hard to block sometimes as a catcher. It gets by there, and here's that insurance run. And there's still 2 more out there sitting and waiting.
Perry in this game reached on an infield hit, struck out, and grounded out. 1 for 3. Ball with 2 strikes. Inning over, but not before Missouri bats around and scores 4 runs. Bottom of the 5th, now Evan Freeman in position to win it for Webb City. Ahead 4-2 over Nebraska. Pivotal 5th inning for Missouri, scoring 4 times on 2 hits, and Nebraska error now to lead 4-2 in the bottom of the 5th. And the challenge now for Nebraska has to extend to coming back against a flamethrower. Ryan Knipping is at the plate to start the bottom of the inning. Freeman has struck out the side in the 2nd and in the 4th. And for the 2nd time today is working on his 5th consecutive strikeout. That's how good he's been. The encouraging news, I would think at this point for Nebraska, John, is that if this pace continues, Freeman will not be able to finish the game. Because he'll reach the 85 pitch limit.
Correct. Right now sitting at 75.
Knipping awaits the 2-1. So composed on the mound is that right-hander. Headed toward first base. It'll go unassisted, 1 out.
Ground ball is the friend for Freeman right now. Strikeouts are good, but causes him to throw a few more pitches. If he can get some one-pitch ground balls, he could possibly finish this thing. But that's reaching a bit.
Yeah. '85's the limit, although you don't stop a pitcher from throwing at 85. You continue the at-bat if it begins before the 85th pitch. Right now, the pitching eligibility requirements or rules might be the best friend of Nebraska, which has only 3 hits in the game. 2 of them by the leadoff hitter, Reese Bober. A ball and 2 strikes.
If you're looking at Nebraska and thinking how many arms do they have if they have to run some other guys out there, they have 2 players, Braden Anderson and Reese Bober, who both are ineligible to pitch today because of their pitch count. So they're going to have to go a little bit deeper, but their coach told us they can go 7, 8 deep.
Drew Iverson on strikes. And for Evan Freeman, he has now struck out 1 in at least every inning. Reese Bober has been the only guy next to Nolan Smith that Freeman can't solve. He's been 2 for 2. Had a good pitch to smoke to center field the last time up.
Freeman knew it too. He reached back and let that one go a little bit harder.
Yeah. 2 balls, no strikes.
Trying to back him off the plate. Shortstop Kyle Perry, he pointed out to Dupree Jackson out in left field, say, hey, last time he hit it your direction. Good communication for Webb City.
Last batter that Freeman will face, and he is 3-0 on Bober. Evan Freeman striking out 10 in the game. Loses Bober on 4 pitches, and that'll be it for Evan Freeman. But what a pitching performance. Allowing just 3 hits, 2 runs. Striking out 2 in the first, 3 in the second, 1 in the third, the side in the fourth, and 1 here in the 5th. And I believe, John, it's worth another look. Going to get a big ovation, and understandably so by his fan support. He had the K-ball working today.
That's right. That fastball, he'd get it inside the hitters, it'd ride down and in. He had great movement on it, has a breaking ball, but he could just overpower guys with the equivalent of a 92-mile-an-hour fastball, and worked in and out. Had great command and location today, and you can tell by all those strikeouts on the day. 10 strikeouts, 2 base on balls. That's a nice line right there for Evan Freeman.
Terrific line. Kyler Perry now comes in to try to save it for Missouri. You know, it's interesting when you have the bye, you have a couple of things working in your favor, not the least of which is you can start your ace against a team that's already won a game but can't come back with its #1 pitcher, unless you're like Ohio and you place that #1 pitcher in position for that second game.
So many different ways that you can play it, and you just don't know the right way. I mean, you can think about it, and I'm sure these coaches stay up at night. thinking, how do I manage this thing with this pitch count?
Braden Anderson, who reached on a fielder's choice in the third and scored, will come to the plate. He is the potential tying run in the last of the fifth. Nebraska trying to have an inning like Missouri had in the top of the fifth. Runner heads on the ball's in the dirt. Strike on the batter Anderson. Now in the scoring position goes Reese Bober. Minnesota, South Dakota coming up at the 7 o'clock Eastern hour. That one gets away from the catcher and a run around to third.
2 pitches, 2 bases.
And in fact, we thought the first one had been called a strike. It is actually a ball, so it's 2-0. 2-0 pitch. Strike one, 2-1. Nolan Smith, who has the 2 RBIs of the game from Nebraska, awaits next. 3 balls and a strike.
After 3 balls away, you could see Anderson leaning out over the plate there, thinking that thing may be outside. He got a breaking ball in, was able to duck away and not get hit with that pitch.
3-2.
And it came right back with that breaking ball after it being inside, and can't help but pull off a bit.
Yep. Time being called. Yeah, they're contending right now that he swung on the first pitch, but in fact, home plate umpire Nick Boylan is saying, no, that was a ball. Well, Missouri seems satisfied, so here we go. Well, the breaker's been a tough pitch for Braden Anderson to hit.
Yep.
So might we see that on 3-2?
We very well could see it again, especially the frustration he had after that last breaking ball.
Just got a piece of it.
Perry's delivery a little bit different, kind of drops down to the side, and that back foot comes flying around. But that breaking ball is more, as we talked about before, not the one that goes from 12 to 6. It's more side to side.
Big 3-2 pitch. Runners now at first and third. And Anderson representing the tying run. So Nolan Smith hustling to the plate. And he's got an opportunity to come up big again, as he did back in the third when he got a 2-out, 2 RBI hit. So you wonder, if you're Nebraska, do you send a man from first to second? That's been hardly a contested play today. That would be the tying run into scoring position. Instead, he gets hit. So Smith walks to first base. The bases are loaded with 2 outs. All this has happened after 2 outs, 2 walks, and an HBP, hit by pitch.
And they're going to make a move, and probably the right move, is Kyle Perry just hasn't been able to get the guys out. Started off in a tough situation, facing 2, 3, 4 guys in the lineup, and they quickly making a change and a good move here.
Max Stovern will come on from his right field spot. So Missouri has used 3 pitchers in the bottom of the 5th inning. Nebraska used a couple in the top of the 5th. This inning seemed like it's lasted about an hour and a half.
It really has.
A lot of strategy, a lot of scoring, and definitely some base running opportunities.
There's a look at the outfield here, still trying to figure out who's going where. Evan Freeman talking to him out there about how he was throwing bullets today.
Did he ever, striking out 10. Kyler Perry goes back to short. Evan Freeman now is the center fielder. William Hayes, the right fielder. And Landon Johnson now is the third baseman. Beginning in January, Little League will join other youth baseball organizations in adopting USA Baseball's new USA Bat Standard. For more information on how this new youth standard will impact Little League, visit littleleague.org/batinfo. Got a special pinch runner at first base with 2 outs. Tying run at second, go ahead run at first. Brooks Paul is 0 for 2 today. Perry Swarm is the special runner at first. Paul 1 for 5 in the tournament, has struck out 3 times, had a hit and scored. Ball 1. One and one. John, whoever loses this game is going to feel like, man, do we have opportunities?
No question about it. Runners left on base. One hit here or there could make the difference in this thing, even with an inning to go.
Now 1 and 2. In the Missouri 6th, after having batted around in the 5th, Webb City sends up Stovern, Max Stovern, Evan Freeman, and Dupree Jackson, one of the heroes in this game to this point. Bases loaded pitch with 2 outs and a count of 1 and 2. A pretty nice play at first base. Well done by Brent Anderson. And again, the 1-2 pitch. Two. Well, can we get more dramatic than this?
3-2, 2 outs, bottom.
Of the 5th inning. Here we go. The 3-2 pitch. Here it is. Brooks Paul has struck out twice today. Trying to make contact. Once again, 3-2 pitch. Strike 3 called. Inning over. Missouri out of the jam. Good job by Max Stovern. Nebraska leaves the bases loaded and trails Missouri 4-2. We head to the 6th. Almost the 6 o'clock hour here in Hamilton County. Westfield, Indiana, Missouri 4-5-0, Nebraska 2-3-2. The modified double elimination tournament for the Midwest region. Jim Barber and John Gregory. We still have more baseball coming later tonight. That's in about an hour officially. Minnesota and Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Max Stovern, who pitched well in that 5th inning to get out of a bases loaded jam and got a 3-2 called 3rd strike, will lead off for Webb City in the 6th. Stovern's had a perfect day. He's walked 3 times. He must have an eye like the Cubs' Anthony Rizzo. Well, Rizzo walks a lot and gets hit a lot too.
Well, Iverson, another one of those guys that are not from Nebraska, not going to overpower you, but he can get you out with that breaking ball. It's slow and then a little bit slower up there. So if you have patience at a hitter, you just sit back and wait for the pitch. Tough to do. That thing looks so big as it comes out of the hand.
Well,
you have to be able to adjust to it.
Stover and John has hardly swung the bat today. He has now walked 4 times. Brings up Evan Freeman. He's also walked twice in this game.
For Missouri, the center fielder, 44, Evan Freeman.
Evan Freeman, the starting pitcher today for Webb City, struck out 10 before he reached his pitch limit. Third consecutive appearance for Webb City. Kearney, Nebraska, here for the 7th time in 8 years and the 2nd year in a row. Punch to right field, base hit. Freeman on a wrap to right. Runners at first and second, nobody out.
That looked like a replay of his last at bat as he hit it out to right center field. It was about one step away from the right fielder. That was identical. And we described it as not taking a big step, using his hands and flicking it out to right field. And I imagine that was within 3 feet of the other one.
Missouri in this game has had at least 2 runners on base in every inning but 1. And let's see if that's the end of the day, and it is for relief pitcher Drew Iverson. Gets a pat from manager Sean Etherington, and we'll have a pitching change. As Scout Simmons now comes on to throw.
Well, we know he has a big arm. We've seen that from the third base bag over to first all day long.
Yes.
We asked Coach Etherington how many pitchers he has. Not thinking that we may see all 7 or 8 today. It's still a possibility. Close ball game.
You know, when he answered the question, I thought maybe I had heard wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Usually most teams identify, what, 4 pitchers, tops?
Yeah. Take a look at Simmons out on the mound here. Kind of looks down at the last second. Looks up toward home plate. So many times you see guys will pick up that catcher's mitt and stare it down. His rhythm doesn't consist of that. He's going to look down and look up at the last second.
This game now 2 hours in length. We're in the top of the 6th inning.
For Nebraska, leaving the mound after throwing 32 pitches, number 11, Drew Iverson, goes to the dugout. Re-entering the game, number 2, Luke Wagner, now playing center field.
Luke Wagner's moved to center field.
Center to third base, number 3, Reese Bober. And
Reese Bober to third.
for Nebraska.
And we already mentioned the pitching change. Scout Simmons. Dupree Jackson, monster hit in the 5th inning. A 2-run triple, and then came across what now could turn out to be the winning run. At that point, it made it 3-2. Missouri has added since then another run. The winner gets Minnesota or South Dakota on Wednesday. Losers got to come back and play tomorrow and fight for its life. And should this lead hold for the 2nd time in 3 games, the team with the bye will have won Day 2 competition. 1-2 pitch with nobody out. And he did get a hold of it.
Jackson,
so it remains 1-2.
Yeah, fortunate to be able to look like he was trying to check his swing that time, and I'm sure he would have been punched out for going around, but fortunately for him, it nicked the bat.
Two balls, 2 strikes.
Nebraska still has to feel like they have a chance in this ball game, only being down 2. Defensively here, you've got to be able to knock the ball down, not let anything get through, and try to save every possible run you can.
Nebraska would bring up the 5, 6, and 7 hitters to start the last of the 6th. Good save behind the plate. Nolan Smith's been pretty busy so far, particularly in the last couple of innings. Count now full on Dupree Jackson. Looking down to his third base coach and manager. Awaits the 3-2. Up the middle, off the pitcher to second. Got a chance at a double play. But no, in fact, even though it was hit hard, no chance on the relay. Runners now at first and third. And 1 out.
Not sure this ball would have gotten up I think it would have definitely gotten up the middle there and went off the foot, saved it, and opportunity maybe saved a run. Simmons gets credit for a combination 4 to 6 on that put out.
Yeah. Pitcher, second baseman to shortstop. Eli Miller back to bat again for the second time with runners at first and third. Infielders in a bit, still at the double play spot here. As Miller walked a part of that huge 5th inning, in which 9 came to the plate and 4 scored.
Let's see if Missouri decides they're going to try to steal another run here and try to create something with Dupree Jackson down at first base. He's got great speed, and there you go.
Yep. So if you're a defense, how do you counter that? Because you don't want to give up another potential run.
Now, they decided not to. They were going to let him go through no matter what time he left. They was waiting for Nolan Smith to make the move to throw it back to the mound. And as soon as he starts to throw to the mound, Dupree Jackson took off. The only way you can do that is you got to look him back to first base.
Now runners at second and third. Two balls, a strike, 1 out. Back to the pitcher. Runner at third, freeze. And it's 2 outs. So good job by Scout Simmons to look the runner back to third. And runners down second and third with 2 away.
I think that's some good base running down at third base that time, deciding not to come home. One of the places you don't want to go is if it's hit right back to the mound, and Simmons never even looked at third base to get the runner back. He just decided to get the out at first base, and fortunately for him, Stoburn was not moving down the line.
Trey Rotes now with an opportunity. Struck out in the 5th inning. Takes a pitch for a strike there. Nebraska will lead off with Easton Etherton in the last of the 6th. Nebraska's last scheduled at bat. Good job by Scout Simmons. Got Roach to chase a high fastball. Runners left at second and third, bottom of the 6th. Nebraska's last chance, trailing Missouri 4-2. For Kearney Little League, the state champions of Nebraska, 2 runs to tie, 3 runs to win it. Trailing 4-2, last to the 6th. Last chance. Easton Etherington, the left fielder, which is how he began the game. 0 for 2 in this game with 2 strikeouts. Yesterday had an RBI single. Scout Simmons is the scheduled hitter after Etherington. 2-1. Now 3-1.
Well, don't want that leadoff walk on.
Etherington, the long look down the third base, and his dad and skipper take sign all the way, full count, which is not a bad idea, really.
No, no question. You need base runners here. You need to find any way you can possibly get on.
Etherington out on strikes for the 3rd time today. 1 out, bottom of the 6th.
Got to give it to Stover in there. He almost lost him, battled back and threw a fastball by him for the big strikeout.
Here's Scout Simmons. The numbers are easy. Nebraska needs a base runner to bring the tying run to the plate. And the last inning had the tying run and go-ahead runners on base, and then the 3-2 punch out with the bases loaded effectively ended the inning. Stovern once again starts a batter off behind. Double elimination game. And now 3-0. Ben Knapp is the scheduled batter who would be next. 3 balls, 1 strike. Now 3-2. Stovern will deal from the windup. Here's the 3-2 pitch with 1 out in the 6th.
Boy, it seems like every time they get 3 balls, Stovern's able to throw strikes after that. But before that, it's like concentration's not there. As soon as he gets the 3, he's able to throw strikes.
But unable to get number 12, Simmons. He's aboard with 1 out. So now the potential tying run comes to the plate. This is Ben Knapp, who struck out back in the 2nd. That was against the fireballer, Evan Freeman.
Now batting for Nebraska, number 8, Bo Knapp.
Can't worry about the runner down at first base. He means nothing right now.
Doesn't look like Webb City wants to concede him necessarily, but we'll see on the next pitch. 1-1. Getting a lot of encouragement from Sean Etherington in that third base box.
Yeah, and from the fans too. That was a loud foul to them down there, and feel like something can happen. Just a little bit quicker bat speed there, and that thing's in play.
Ball and a strike. Missouri trying to close this out here in the bottom of the 6th. Excuse me. 2 balls, 1 strike. On the corner, 2-2. Ground ball, third base. Won't be able to double up on this one. Thrown on Knapp, safe! Ben Knapp hustling down the first base line, beat it out. Was not a hard hit ground ball to the third baseman Johnson. He hurried his throw, was not in time.
Johnson did everything he could do at the third base bag there. He came in hard on it, immediately got there, and just the speed of Knapp down the first base line was able to beat it out. And now runner in scoring position, and intensity ratchets up a little bit more.
Ty Redinger at the plate. The tying run now is at first. The winning run is at the plate. Max Stovern with a 1-0 pitch. And you get the impression Nebraska's not going to help Stovern out if he continues to fall behind hitters. Time being called right now.
Good time for a trip to the mound. Go settle him down a little bit.
Bruce Darnell typically handles those situations as pitching coach and bench coach. Tad Johnson, as you know, is the skipper. Mike Miller, also one of the coaches on the Webb City side. This game now 2¼ hours in length. Ty Redinger walked way back in the 3rd inning. Yesterday hit into a double play. Trying to be a hero this afternoon. And the count now reaches 3 balls, no strikes. He'll take this pitch certainly to try to load him up. And the bases are loaded. Well, why not? The last 2 innings have had plenty of drama, so it's what we should have.
That was not a bad pitch there, but now bases loaded. You were talking in between the innings here about a couple base runners on, and now we're going to get a change in the mound again.
And you know, looming in what will be the on-deck circle after Wagner Iverson bat is Reese Bober, who has made contact on everybody. So you don't want to get back to the top of the lineup. You'd love to get a double play here and end it, because Bober was hitting Freeman like it was batting practice.
Yeah, he's about as confident at the plate as anybody we've seen in this regional so far.
But first things first, with the 9th position, Luke Wagner is the scheduled hitter. Bree Jackson, already a hitting hero in this game, will try to finish this up. Hard throwing right-hander and a tall one at that.
Now pitching for Missouri, number 42, Bree Jackson.
Missouri defensively, if we can look ahead, John, are you going to back up short in second, try to play for the double play, or you can give up a run? You don't want to give up more than one.
That's correct. Yeah, I think you have to play back in the middle infield, or at least halfway, and then, of course, in on the corners is a possibility. So at least you can get a force at home or touch one of the bags on the corner.
Luke Wagner with the bases loaded, 1 out in the bottom of the 6th. Great theater here. Ball 1. And Jackson throws hard. So Waggy trying to come up with a big bat. 2 balls, no strikes. Got him swinging here or taking?
I'm thinking I'm taking until he shows me that he can throw a strike.
Jackson with a look over to the bench for support here. Tall, lean right-hander with a 2-0 count, needs a strike. Wild pitch, going to try to score a run here. And the runner is out. Oh, I don't know if you take a chance like that, do you?
Absolutely not. You're not the winning run. You're not even the tying run in that situation.
And now there are 2 outs in the game in the 6th inning.
We've seen it so many times, that ball coming off that backstop in a hurry, and it came back perfectly to Walker Sweet, the catcher. And how about Dupree Jackson? We said what kind of athlete he is. He was off the mound as quick as anybody we've seen covering the plate. What a huge out for this Webb City Little League team.
Yeah, smart play by Jackson, too, to recognize they could cut somebody down at home plate. Count is 3-0 on Wagner. He reaches, bases are loaded for 2 outs. And Reese Bober coming to the plate. Well, if you're Nebraska, you got the right guy coming up. He has had a great 2 days of play. He's had 3 hits. He has scored a run. And he makes contact. Base hit could tie the game, maybe even win it. That one gets away, and this time Nebraska Spartans up.
And that's one where you probably could be able to score on it in that situation. But again, you don't want to get that 3rd out at the plate, especially when you've got a hitter like this in the box.
Going to be another pitching change. These last 2 innings have been, well, they have not lacked for anything.
No.
I think we started at 4 o'clock in the 5th inning, and now it's almost 6:30.
And give Tad Johnson a lot of credit here. I mean, he saw that Dupree Jackson was not throwing strikes, and he immediately made that change. And some coaches will sit there and just let it all play out, but he's deciding to be pretty proactive and bring in another pitcher here.
And Nebraska, having its best hitter at the plate, and Reese Bober really represents a threat. It's been a long wait for Sioux Falls, South Dakota, standing by to face Minnesota.
Even longer wait for Minnesota.
Yeah. Game is set to start at 7 o'clock. I don't know if it requires any length of time for warm-ups. I think they'll have plenty of time to get it in. We may have to skip our dinner hour, but I don't think that's a big deal. I can afford to skip a few dinners.
All we need is the lineups, right?
Yeah. William Hayes is on in relief.
Speaking of which.
Don't go anywhere, John, between games. Not a battle of wills and nerves here. Here's Reese Bober. Tying run at second, winning run at first. He's had a perfect day, 2 for 2 and a walk, and has a 1-0 count. Strike 1. Can William Hayes finish it for Missouri? From the stretch, 1-2. One thing about Bober, he is difficult to strike out. So he's not likely to be taking a pitch up there.
He had the green light all the way, and why not? As good a hitter as he is.
Missouri a strike away, but can Bober deliver? That bounces in, 2-2.
Well, you have to be careful if you're Perry Swarm at second base running and Wagner down at first base that you don't make a mistake and run up on the back of another runner if he decides he's not going to come home.
2-2 pitch. Game over. Bober took a call third. How about that? And Webb City with a 4-run 5th dodges a bases loaded 5th and 6th and wins to move on in the winner's bracket to Wednesday morning against the winner of our game that's set to follow shortly.
Well, how about that? Tad Johnson makes a decision to make a switch in the middle of the last batter, bring in William Hayes because Dupree couldn't get any strikes. And he gets the victory because of it.
The next game has been moved back now because of the length of this. We'll go at 7:30 tonight instead of 7. So, John, this had everything, and congratulations to Webb City as Evan Freeman looked really tough today for the Missouri State champions. For John Gregory, Jim Barber, thanks for joining us. We'll see you in 1 hour from Minnesota and Sioux Falls, South Dakota.